Hi again. Today we're going to talk about companion planting again, but this time we're going to talk about a specific situation you might face in your own yard and how you might solve this with companion plants. So a lot of people have a section of their yard which gets morning sunlight but not much afternoon sunlight, and so it's a challenge to find things that will fruit well or grow well in those kinds of situations. And finding a collection of plants that might grow well together in that kind of situation is even more of a challenge. So I'm going to propose a potential guild for that situation. And this is what I like to call my shady plant guild, which is a companion planting of several different plants that all will do well in neutral to perhaps slightly acid soil, and that we'll all produce something in a shady spot. So these are a number of plants I've grown before, but some of which I've kind of brought out here, and I'll show you this morning so you can get a sense of what they are and how they might go well together. So when you're thinking about shade-tolerant plants, your selection's limited, and so especially in New England, where I am, where it's a little cooler in the wintertime, it's sometimes difficult to find plants that will grow well in the shade and also overwinter and produce food. So the four plants that I am going to plant together this year in my slightly shady spot are the Hosta, the Alpine Strawberry, a gooseberry plant that I've just gotten. I've never had a gooseberry plant before, but they are also shade tolerant. And I'm going to plant them with one of my pawpaws, which is a tree that produces fruit and is also shade tolerant. So all of these are cold hardy plants. All of these can grow in somewhat shadier circumstances, and so these are really good plants to potentially grow together. And now here's another reason. So what I've done here in constructing this guild is I've thought about what different levels each of these grow at. So the pawpaw tree, it's an overstory tree. You can keep it from getting too large, but it is an overstory tree. The gooseberry is a bush, and so that grows at a lower level, so that takes advantage of a different area. Now you're going to have to keep your gooseberry pruned, and depending on what kind you get, they can be kind of thorny. So that is the one potential downside here. So you need to prune it carefully, and I am probably going to prune mine flat, so that's only really growing in one plane, and then I'm just going to clip off all the branches that go not in that flat plane, and that will keep it from being difficult to reach in and get the berries. It will also provide more space for the hosta to grow around it and on either side of that. And then underneath you have the alpine strawberries. Now if you had a gooseberry bush that was pushing out in all directions, it would be hard to harvest those too. So that's why you have to be careful with that. So here's some of the alpine strawberries that I've pulled out and am kind of growing in little pots to kind of help propagate a few extra, because sometimes you have to split them up in order to really get them going. And here is a hosta plant that I actually started inside this year because I got them a little earlier than I expected, and so I thought I'd get them started. I've actually got a little gumi twig stuck in there, and we'll see how that does. I'm not sure it's going to do well at all because this really isn't the right way to propagate those, just sticking them in the dirt without any covering to keep a moist above. But hey, who knows, it might just work out. It seems to be getting some leaves anyway, which is encouraging. And then you've got the gooseberry, which, like I say, this is a new acquisition here, and this one doesn't seem to be as thorny as I expected, but they may have removed the thorns before sending it to me. So we'll have to see when that grows out a little bit bigger. Now, there's nothing to show you with my pawpaw trees right now because they're just twigs. So just showing you, you probably wouldn't even be able to see what I was pointing out. But when these all go in together, we will be able to see how well they grow together, and I will show you that later this season, and we'll see how they all do. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you get something out of it, and I hope you think about your own growing areas and what you could potentially plant together to take better advantage of your space, and also to create these potentially, and we don't know exactly if these plants are going to work well together or not, but potentially they may contribute to the health of each other, with things like the Alpine Strawberry creating a ground cover for the other plants, and the Hosta also contributing to that. So we're going to have to see. And I've chosen a fairly small Hosta for this purpose because the Hosta and the Alpine Strawberry may compete a little bit for that ground cover space, although the Hosta is a little bit higher than the Alpine Strawberry. We're going to have to see. So sometimes these things are experiments, but if you have plants that all grow in the same kind of area, try planting them a little closer together than you might otherwise, and you might find, surprisingly, that they work well together. It's always an experiment in my yard anyway, and I love to see what comes of it, and like I say, I will report back on that later on in the season. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please drop me the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and check us out at foodforestgardenclub.org, where you can see other crazy people doing other crazy things like I'm doing, and you can talk to them and interact and maybe share seeds and do fun stuff like that. So look forward to seeing you there. In the meantime, have an awesome day.